Hey Lane, this is my second attempt. I'm sorry. I had a new e-commerce store client call, Bank of America referral, and I was maybe like a minute in, so I hate that. I just had to restart it. Okay, so when I sat with a client, because of what you showed me, I went here and did that advanced search, and he loved the way that worked. That was totally cool. So you can see all that, right? I told him the reason why we don't have any other jobs in here, employers or candidates, is because this is what was pre-filled for us so we can see the functionality. But as we would put companies, candidates, and job postings in there, we could kind of see more of that, right? But I don't know if you noticed this advanced search box when you took us past that point the first time you gave us a test drive. So I was smart enough to maybe play here. I know here wasn't working as great, so we just need to make sure that that's all working. He does love that feature. I can tell you that it's a little involved in the job posting. There's quite a bit to put there, but he saw that. I walked him through it. He says, "Yeah, that's normal." I said, "As long as you think those employers can do it," he goes, "Yeah, not a problem." And then the employer profile, a little bit involved, but he wants them to be able to upload their logo and put in all that pertinent information. The candidate, he saw it. We went through it first, and we went through the employer, and then he came back. He just was rubbing his chin. He goes, I know my people, and it's just a little involved, right? So when it says add resume, everywhere it says resume, it does need to say profile. I don't want to lose that meta tagging and connection that it has, metadata connection, really. But it just needs to say profile because he asked me. He goes, "Is it always going to say resume?" And I said, "No, we're done, not done yet." See right here, preview resume. So it's only 2 steps, right, for them to preview and submit it. It's about 5 steps for a job post and about 4 for the employer, right? And then we want them to sign up. Now, he doesn't want the employer or the candidate to go past go without it being submitted, right? He doesn't want them to have access to jobs or employers, contact information unless they register completely. And I totally understand, but the big point is the employer cannot have access to the audience without a subscription. Now, when the employer, it's like 4 or 5 steps when they go through, especially when they post a job. When you hit submit on posting the job, it takes one of the steps is a menu with subscriptions. There's like 3. You can add up to 4 or 5, whatever. So we just need to clean those up to match the pricing and the appropriate fields and then let them pay. I'm going to be activating authorize.net. I'll run a couple of tests, so that'll be ready to go. But we need it all to tie together, right? But when I go into this profile, he just wants to make sure it stays simple. I said, well, other than your name, email, and then the license, looks like you've already done it. Really great. Okay. Then what's the location? That is going to be important because on smaller states that are got sister states, some of those guys, this is like later picture, some of those guys are licensed in 2 areas, like South Carolina, North Carolina, the tri cities over there in Tennessee and Kentucky, right? Those kinds of things, because they're all touching each other on the corner there. He liked that there was an upload photo, upload image. He just thought maybe one would be great. So I'm not sure what the featured image is. Maybe that's a lifestyle picture, but remember, this is not corporate America, resume, college grad kid, where you're going to send me a shot of you fishing or with your dogs and then your profile picture, right? Maybe just one. And the resume content, it made him nervous to keep seeing resume. And I told him, I said, we're not done yet. We just left everything in there so we could walk you through it. So he doesn't really think that this is good because he doesn't want them to get caught up in trying to write everything out. What he wants is for them to have drop downs, okay? Drop downs, okay? Make sure that they're appropriate. I don't know why there's 3 years here, 3 years there, 1 year, 10 years. The arrangement seems weird, but he wants them to do drop downs, skill sets, drop them down. The hourly, he recommended a range here because the employer has a range for searching and matches. So give the candidate a range, because say they want $15 to $20 an hour, but they wouldn't get to see anything at 18. Let's say they're at 15 and they say, oh, well, I'll just do 20 because this is all they get is one choice. Totally makes sense because everybody wants to make more money at the next job. But what we want is a range. So there's a top and a bottom, just like the employer side or the job listing side, posting side. Education level, he was totally cool with that. And then he saw those. He says, okay, great. So you plan to put it there? I said, yeah, that's kind of one thought because this trigger up here does another thing. So I was relaying that to him. But if we already have the license, then we just need the license type, right? And that would get triggered by the state, the location that's shown. So that should, I think it's easy enough. Then you have languages, he was kind of like, that's really going to be English, Spanish, right? So I was like, well, in some parts of the country, maybe not. But yeah. And then all of these connections, he was not too concerned about that. Maybe Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, no, but probably just Facebook. So just Facebook only. Language is still up in the air, but for sure a top and bottom range, high and a low range, but everything else fill in the blank. And then here, this URL was optional. We could probably just make it go away because we need less fields. He just wanted less fields. In other words, I want to get here, put my name, email, address, upload my license, right? Drop down and click the license that I have. He really meant this for like driver's license, right? Wants to make sure that they can drive because they do have equipment, usually that they drive trucks, company trucks. A lot of the companies his size do that, and then you see this says education and this says experience. Well, we got to a little bit of the experience here, but we don't have a company name or anything, right? So what we want is down here is, recent job, right? Just so they could kind of see, and then that's where it opens up to who is it, when they start and stop, that kind of thing. And if it's anybody worth their salt, they'll be able to see it because that industry is pretty small. From what I understand, it's pretty small. They all kind of know each other or they know who the players are. So anyway, so he saw me go through it, this professional title. He wasn't too keen on that because these guys don't consider themselves a professional title person. They consider themselves as labormen, right? So he says like some of that stuff needs to go away. There's just a little too much. I want it as simple as possible. So one more reiteration. All of it looks good. Make this a photo. So like a driver's license upload. Get rid of the second one. Get rid of this resume box. I know this populates with a resume upload, but we don't need it. Not for the candidate. Now, make sure it doesn't screw up all the metadata connections, right, on the search and the matches. Then this is experience. Tell me a little bit about who you are, and if this can come up further, who's your last job? Because education's already there, unless you plan to use it for the concentric thing we're doing, then just leave it at the bottom. He says, I'd rather them leave education at the bottom just as an additional thing to tell me that they did go to college or something, but it's not important. It's more about the certifications and the licensing, right? But they want to know who that they work for last. Don't need this. Don't need the professional title. And knock it down to just Facebook. Language he was up in the air about, and then there needs to be a bottom and top, a range on the per hour deal, right? No salary. He says the majority of this industry is hourly. They're more concerned about an hourly. If it's a management or a team lead, then they always come in at $1 hour rate, but then they negotiate into a salary usually. So he goes, it's a third of the business, if people are on salary, right? All right, man. Hope that helps. Let me know. We got, it's crunch time. I really got to get this one out. So let me know. Thanks.